I'm just gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with this. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna just go out here and talk about it because I know there's not any in here. I know there's not any listening. Since there's not any haters, everybody's got that like one friend. Everybody got that one friend that is like the definition of a hater. Every time they see someone like successful or they see someone like that's actually doing something with their lives, they're like, "Oh man, you see that Alicia Keys, man? The last couple of songs on her album were trash. That was garbage, man. I don't know what is she doing." And they're like, "Man, I remember when I sung in that high school sing-a-thon, sing-a-lock-a-lon competition for, I remember that back in the day, and you know what, that was solid. That was solid." And everybody's got that one friend that's like the definition of a hater, you know what I mean? And it trips me out. And you always get in these conversations. I just like to sit on the sidelines. I just like to sit on the sidelines and listen to them because they'll be running through these wild scenarios. They're like, you know what, Kobe, he's a great player. He's got his legacy. He's been doing this thing for a while now. But will he ever be a Jordan? I don't know. And then they caress their like medals and stuff. They go and caress their medals like, oh yeah, And it's like, man, where do these things come off from? But I don't know. I guess it's just like it's something that happens because we're such an impatient society that we gotta find things to just fill our minds with, and we just start to think, and we go into other people's stuff. I don't know. I don't even know where it comes from. I be feeding haters. That's just me personally. I just be like, it negates their whole argument. You're just like, hey, you walk up like, man, that boy Alton, he sure is tired, isn't he? And they're like, man, he sure is. He show you right, and it trips me out. And everybody's, I mean, what can you do then? They're like, hey, hey, and you're like, hey, and it's cool because everybody can relate on the same level. You're on the same level with that. And then it's like, man, that Bleak Horizon stuff, man. That show is getting old, isn't it? And they're like, hey, show you right. How you doing with that? How you doing with that? You know what? It's about the 30th, 40th, 50th time. But hey, it's good. Ellen, I'm trying to see you. Ellen. You wrote a book before. I wrote a book before. You know how it is. But, anyways, watch this. Yeah, I be feeding my haters. It's a trip. It's a trip to me. It's a trip to me because you know what? I just be like, hey, I'm a virgin. I'm a virgin right now. I'm a virgin right now. Would you please? Hey, I'm starting a sponsorship. It's a sing-a-laugh-along for my virginity. And it's like, man, I don't know. I just be feeding my haters. And it's just funny. It's because that's the thing. Like we're just an impatient society, so we fill our mind. We're either like we're like, are you entertained or not? Are you entertained? And it's like kill him or let him live. Kill him or let him. He's okay. He's okay. He's okay. Let him live. Let him live. Let him speak. Let him speak. So I just sit there and I talk and I'm like, hey, watch this. And this time, blah, 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 and now, yeah, I see because I jumped out. Woo. Hey, and it's like, man, we've just gotten progressively more impatient in society. And you think about it, and it's like, wow, I did finish this book. It took me like a year and a half. But when they were writing, can you imagine like when they had that like feather and they would like dip it in ink? Like how long would it take them to write books? Like they had to Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning. And they go to Revelation, and if anyone alters the words in this, and they got like this entire warehouse. They got this entire Indiana Jones warehouse of this one book, and they're like, it took me my entire life to write this book. Can you imagine how expensive books are? Okay, I just spent a year and a half like pouring myself out into this book. I know you know what it's like, Alan. So it trips me out, and I'm like, hey, how was it like when they had typewriters? Okay, so they moved up from the paper. They had to get past that. They got to the printing press. Then they had typewriters. And it still was slow because they would dial stuff out. They're like, and in closing, and if you really wanted to have it professional and you messed up, you put that G instead of a C. You're like, and in close, oh damn it. No backspace. There's no backspace. It's not like on computers. You gotta throw the whole thing out. You crumble it up. It's garbage. That's garbage. That's garbage. We don't this and that. You toss it in the trash. And it's funny to me. And it's funny because you're like now they got this thing called the Kindle. I just spent a year and a half working on my book. Okay, I just poured my life into it. I just invested in it. I'm just giving my everything. Books are dirt cheap now. My book is like it's. I got to give like 75% to my agent. I got to give 10% to my publisher, and like 15% goes to God. And like at the end of the day, I haven't made any money at all. And that's why I'm just trying to get my book out there. And I got my Kindle. I remember ordering it. And you know, it's funny how just impatience runs rampant in our society. You know, it said Walmart. You go to Walmart.com, you order something, you know, it'll be here on March 6th. You know, so it's March 7th at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm calling up Walmart like, "Where's my product at? Like, where's my product at?" You know, you guys are holding out on me. It's pissing me off. You know, because like they shouldn't lie like that. They shouldn't lie like that. You know, they told me it's gonna be there on March 6th. It's March 7th. I'm looking for my product. So you know, I'm looking out for my Kindle. I'm checking out. I'm just like that puppy in the window. I'm looking out. Hey, it could come any day now. You know, Ellen might respond to me any day now. Everybody's like, "Oh, that boy sure is tired." I'm like, "I sure am." I'm like, I sure am. I sure am. You know, so I call the lady up and she's like, hey, Mr. Clark, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm looking for my product." And you know, since I'm so impatient, you know, she puts me on hold. She's like, "Can you hold for me for a second?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, no problem, no problem." So I'm on hold. I'm on hold for about 3 hours, and it's funny, this guy in a 10-gallon hat, he had spurs, he comes up riding, comes up in a 10-gallon hat, spurs on this horse and everything, and he gets off of his horse, he comes to the door, and he's got my package, and I'm like, "Excuse me?" I'm like, "Excuse me, you're the delivery guy? You're the delivery guy?" And he's like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, "Where are you coming from, man?" He's like, "I'm coming from Maryland right now." And I'm looking at his horse, and it's got all these spur marks, and then his horse just fell over and died. I think it died, like his horse just fell, and it just fell over. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, man, you made great timing, man." And then the lady clicks over. She's like, "Thank you for holding, Mr. Clark. Yeah, I'm sorry about that inconvenience. We're trying to get a hold of your driver right now." And I'm like, "Hey, you know what? You guys have excellent service." I'm like, "You guys are great. You know what? You guys are awesome. And you guys just keep doing what you're doing, and I appreciate you guys." And then I had to hang up real quick because, like the Marlboro man, he was giving CPR to his horse. And it was kicking out of it, and it was tripping me out. He was making all these vibrisms and spasms and stuff. And then, like the horse, he shot the horse in the head because the horse wouldn't come back. Boom. And I was like, hey man, trip me out. Boom. Hey man. I was like, "Hey man, do you need a ride, man?" He had 3 other packages. I was like, "Hey bro, do you need a ride, man? You need to go somewhere?" And he's like, "Are you insured?" I'm like, "Yes." It's like, "By survival?" Like, "No, I can't take that ride." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, man." And he just starts walking down the street. He takes out this harmonica. Take a load off, and it was crazy. And you know, and then the horse, it was still. I don't even. You know, that USPS has came a long way. If you think about it, USPS has come a long way. And if a dude like me can come far enough to write a book, I'm thinking you should holler at me, Ellen. Hey, get at me. I'm still hollering. Peace.